KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson and the Adahi Itano program. Cars Plus, drive home in a brand new 2021 Hyundai Palisade equipped with Guam's only lifetime powertrain limited warranty. Call 477-7807 or visit carsplusguam.com. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it, and King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Coming up, a closer look at the impact as the eviction moratorium for commercial properties is scheduled to be lifted at the start of next week. The protocols might be silent, but karaoke bars are preparing to make some noise and closing the gap on providing mental health services for the island's prison population. That story and more right now from Guam's News Leader.
Hafidang, good evening. I'm Adriana Cotero. The eviction moratorium will be lifted for commercial property starting next week, Monday, March 1st. Longtime property management company owner Chris Felix says some businesses will be forced out, but there won't be as many as might be expected after such a lengthy rental holiday. Nestor Lecanto has the story.
I'm glad the governor is doing this. I think it should have been looked at a while back ago. I've told the governor's staff that there comes a point where it just hurts everybody. You've got to let go and let this thing, let the chips fall where they may. I'm really glad the governor's opened up the bar and loosened the restaurants. Those were critical. That hurt Guam, it hurt us, it hurt the landlords, hurt the tenants, hurt the employment. I mean, that was just a vicious circle.
Felix expects about 10% of tenants will get the boot, but most businesses, he says, worked out agreements with their landlords months ago.
There are some tenants that have really bothered us. They've been open and they've been selling and they're not paying any rent at all. You know, there's a few of those. And so now starting March 1st, we'll be able to take some action on those. Again, most of the tenants and landlords have worked this problem out.
He says most of the laggards have been at the lower end of the rental scale, and there are others who just flatly abused the opportunity.
And it bothers me when I pull up to a building to collect rents and the tenant just basically laughs at me and drives off in his brand new car.
The residential moratorium remains in effect for now, but when it's lifted, Felix estimates about 10 to 15% will probably be kicked out.
And to be honest, those that are evicted probably kind of deserve to be evicted. That they, they have been receiving, many of them have been receiving funds, the unemployments, and have received the funds and spent it elsewhere. They didn't save it. And they knew they didn't have to pay rent, so they just spent it. And now they're going to owe $6,000, $7,000, and they don't have it.
While residential tenants cannot be evicted for non-payment, they can be removed for some other just cause. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
They've got the guidelines from public health, and bars are preparing to reopen for happy hour tomorrow. But here's the mic drop. Karaoke bars aren't exactly clear if they'll be following the same tune. Peter Santos reports.
The kegs are tapped and the chillers are stocked. Bars have been waiting 200 days since the last lockdown to finally open their doors. But recent public health guidance has pushed a particular subset of the bar scene to change up the formula, dropping the one thing that makes them stand out. Marketing manager of Min's Lounge Karaoke Bar, Gerald Sobredo.
That microphone issue is the item that we want to ask if sanitation of the microphone as it exchanges, or a stationary mic, if that's acceptable. And I spoke to Min about this, so if they say no, what are we going to do?
According to public health's guidelines, some bars like the venue might not be able to serve live entertainment. Public health is requiring that all performers maintain a 6-foot distance in every direction behind a plexiglass barrier and require customers to refrain from cheering or singing along. It's a little more than a hurdle for a bar whose primary service is the karaoke experience. And according to Sobredo, they'll just have to adapt.
Min's plan is, if they say that's a no-go, then we're still going to open, but we won't operate the karaoke. It's better than nothing, again. And that's my words, not hers. But it's better than nothing. But Min is saying If they say the microphone is a no-go, then we're just going to open as a bar, play music, and that's it.
Sobredo says they're ready to turn on the karaoke machine should they get the green light from public health.
Customers have to wear a mask when they sing. We also have the microphone covers, disposable covers.
According to Sobredo, in addition to the constant sanitizing of the karaoke equipment should they get the go-ahead, Men's Lounge will also implement the usual COVID safety measures to include a sign-in sheet, sanitizing stations, table service, as well as have an usher to enforce social distancing and mask wearing. For Guam's News Network, I'm Peter Santos.
KUAM has reached out to the governor's communications director, Crystal Paco San Agustin, as well as public health on the guidance for karaoke bars. We're still waiting for the details. They are finally able to turn their open signs on, but their fight for justice isn't over just yet. Business owner Tom Pinehoff has filed an amended complaint against Governor Lou Leon Guerrero and Department of Public Health Director Art San Agustin. Pinehoff is leading a class action lawsuit against the government of Guam seeking injunctive and declaratory relief. In addition, return of value taken for mandating bars be closed during the public health emergency under executive orders, or what Pinehoff refers to as business shutdown orders.
One of the last steps we could take as citizens, as people of Guam, was how do you defend yourselves when you're left alone with just pure payments, brutal payments monthly and no help. The last step was that we all unite and get together and file a lawsuit.
According to the complaint, the defendants have taken at least $200,000 from Pinehoff for forcing him to close down his bars Live House and the Shady Lady. The court found that the original complaint did not specify why the executive orders left Pinehoff without any use of his business. Co-counsel Rachel Zuzu tells KUAM that more specific details were added into the amended complaint of the alleged fundamental rights and property interests for the due process and equal protection causes of action. You can view the complaint in its entirety on KUAM.com. The Archdiocese of Agana is not eligible for federal financial assistance under the Paycheck Protection Program. District Court of Guam Chief Judge Francis Tadinko Gatewood issued a ruling today that the local church's bankruptcy status disqualifies it from the PPP.
The Archdiocese of Agana had sued the U.S. Small Business Administration after its application for financial assistance under the Paycheck Protection Program was denied. Recipients of PPP loans or grants can use the money to cover payroll and other operational expenses. In her decision, Judge Gatewood wrote that she relied heavily on a December 2020 decision by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. It was the first appellate court, she wrote, to rule on the legal issue, which other courts are currently split on. The 11th Circuit found that in the pandemic relief law, Congress did not specifically address the eligibility of bankrupt entities and left it up to the SBA. The SBA successfully argued that under its rules, bankruptcy status disqualifies an applicant. The 11th Circuit ruling states, quote, "We do not say this is an inevitable interpretation of the statute, but it is assuredly a permissible one." Judge Gatewood granted summary judgment in favor of the defendant SBA and denied the motion by the plaintiff, Archdiocese of Agana. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Separately, Judge Gatewood ruled that members of Guam's Healing Arts Commission are dismissed from the abortion lawsuit brought by 2 Hawaii doctors and the ACLU. The judge found that the commission does not have any statutory or regulatory authority over medication abortion services. Both the plaintiffs and defendants stipulated to the decision. Other government officials, including lead defendant Attorney General Levin Camacho, are still named in the suit, which argues that Guam law requires face-to-face abortion services by doctors, precludes the rights of patients to be treated via telemedicine. Jury selection is underway for Ronat Chitaro, the man facing murder charges for the December 2020 fatal stabbing of Arthur Wakuk. The incident occurred behind the Docomo headquarters in Tamuning. Chitaro was wanted by police for about 3 weeks, and after an extensive manhunt, officers located the defendant on Christmas Day. Throughout the course of the investigations, officers arrested numerous others on drug charges for hindering Chitaro's apprehension. Due to COVID-19, jury selection is taking place at the Academy of Our Lady of Guam, with trial expected to fall at the San Ramon building, which is across from the Superior Courthouse. Federal offender, former defense civilian employee Bruce Carey Wood is going back to prison. Magistrate Judge Michael Bordallo has ordered he turn himself in to the marshals tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for breaching the court's trust. According to our files, in 2010, Wood was sentenced to a 10-year imprisonment term, followed by 3 years of supervised release. He was the island's first military extraterritorial jurisdiction act case. Wood was charged with aggravated assault, aggravated sexual abuse, and sexual abuse of a minor for sexually assaulting a male minor known to him on numerous occasions for several years. In court this morning, it was learned that the defendant has been living under the same roof as his children, which is in violation of his supervised release conditions. The government asked the court immediately detain the defendant for the safety of the children and disregarding court orders. Judge Bordelio ultimately ordered his detainment and set a continued hearing for arguments on his disposition for March 2nd at 10:30 a.m. In District Court, Dedrick Jonathan Uggan's supervised release may be revoked, as he admitted to using weed and meth on multiple occasions since December of last year. Uggan was sentenced to serve 117 months in prison, followed by a 5-year supervised release term. He, along with 2 others, admitted to robbing the new Nana's Market in September 2011. According to our news files, all 3 defendants pled guilty to Hobbs Act robbery and discharging of brandishing a firearm during a crime. In court this morning, Uggan admitted to drug use and testing positive for both weed and meth while on supervised release. Assistant Federal Public Defender Brianna Kotke informed the court that her client has an appointment for an additional assessment at New Beginnings today at 3 p.m. and is attempting to get into Lighthouse Recovery Center for treatment. The defense asked he not be detained in order to attend his appointment. The court granted the request. A continued disposition hearing was set for March 16th at 9 a.m. Over 100 prisoners at the Department of Corrections suffer from some degree of mental health illnesses, and GovGuam is recognizing this major gap in services within the prison population. The Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center will be enhancing the mental health treatment program at DOC. Last summer, an executive order was signed by Governor Lou Leon Guerrero, mandating Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center to take over the mental health services at the Department of Corrections. According to GBHWC Director Teresa Areola, the 2 agencies are currently penning a Memorandum of Understanding agreement. Areola says there are no drug and alcohol groups being offered to the nearly 80% of prisoners incarcerated for drug and alcohol-related crimes. And it's time to call in the subject experts for the right life-changing services.
So we got together and we said, this is crazy. What do we do? What's missing? And what's missing is proper program in the Department of Correction for that captive audience that was put in jail because of either, something with drug related or alcohol related. And they need to go through programs. They need to go through education. They need to go through groups. They need to get the skills and the mindset that they can get out of this so that when they eventually serve their time, they can go out in the community and make better choices.
The reason for the agreement is to create policy, as GBHWC does not know how to be in a correctional facility, to establish and stand up programs. According to DOC Deputy Director Robert Camacho, they have received the first draft of the agreement. However, they plan to send an amended proposal by the end of this week.
I have to go back with all my division heads and get their input and find out, what may be their concerns or what possibly improvements to the MOA they would like to see. Just the duties and responsibilities for each section. That way, we're not having duplication of services or, having conflicts of who's responsible for what areas.
In order to ensure the enhancements are meeting national requirements, GBHWC has brought in national consultant Dr. Deborah Pinels by way of their federal funds. Once the MOU is officially signed off, then the transition will occur, in which Camacho says will be similar to having a Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Annex on the Manilao compound.
We're putting this proposal out and it's going to be reviewed by, this consultant. So again, it's just a lot of things. We're also looking at, we're trying to be in line with the national standards for correctional mental health services. So we're looking at all these different things, trying to, see what we can provide and work on towards that direction. Just looking forward to having them here and helping us, provide the much needed services.
We've got more big headlines to share. Coming up, GMH behind millions in paying its contracts for traveling nurses. And GBB banking on $20 million in federal assistance to help Guam prepare for the return of tourism. All these stories and much more when primetime returns.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
Social distancing may be the new norm, but connection will always be our tradition. Through good times and tough times, we remain connected with you. Masks may be the new fashion, but protection will always be our style. You can always count on us to protect the things that matter the most. Sanitizing may be the new routine, but caring will always be our practice. We care about your loved ones and the things you value the most. And as we welcome our new normal, one thing remains certain: we will always be here for you. We're open and ready to serve you. Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust.
First time I saw you, you blew my mind. I got this feeling everything was alright. I've never known someone like you, but when I'm with you, everything feels brand new. You.
Try double filet sandwich for double the flavor. Just in time for Lent for a limited time. Served all day.
KUAM News, winner of the 2020 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Social Media.
Welcome back. The Guam Memorial Hospital Board meets tomorrow night, and one of the items on the agenda is settling the millions owed to the companies contracted to provide traveling nurses.
We're still pending some invoices that we need to pay, and we're waiting for the FEMA public assistant reimbursement that we requested. And so I'm informed that that has been approved. It's just now waiting for the funds to then be transmitted. I don't know the number of invoices that we are far behind, but we are behind in terms of, I believe, $3 million that we owe the companies.
During the height of the second surge, GMH contracted a contingent of traveling nurses to help with Guam's critical shortage of nurses. The contract was part of an agreement with FEMA, which approved GovGuam's plan for a DoD medical team that was temporarily deployed to Guam to provide support to the hospital. Posadas adds that because Guam has been containing COVID and hospitalizations have dropped significantly, they are also working with the companies to renegotiate their contracts. As reported, GMH's contract with at least one of these recruiting companies, New West traveling nurses, were paid at a rate of $145 per hour. The GMH board is also expected to discuss issues such as the renovations to the skilled nursing facility, which will be used as an alternate care facility, and their ongoing project for the electronic record system. The GMH board is scheduled to meet on Wednesday at 5 p.m. If you are due for your second dose of the vaccine and had an appointment for Saturday at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse Vaccination Clinic, the Guam National Guard reminds you that Saturday's clinic has been postponed as a result of the shortage of vaccines. National Guard spokesperson Mark Scott says for the Pfizer vaccine, there is a supply for dose 2, but you still need to reschedule. But those waiting for the Moderna will have to wait a bit longer.
For Pfizer, only 67 people are due for their dose 2 on Saturday. That's what we're tracking. So with such a smaller number, only 67 people, the Pfizer dose 2s, go ahead and come in early. You can come in up to 4 days early. Now, Moderna is the one where there's like 1,000 people due for their dose 2. That's the one that we can't accommodate because we'll be out. So we're encouraging everyone that was due on Saturday, the 27th, all the way up until the shipment comes, which is March 5th next week, to go ahead and push it back to after the stuff arrives.
Scott says no one should panic because the CDC says you can still get your second dose at least 6 weeks after your first shot. The Guam Visitors Bureau is switching up their campaign from Give Us a Moment to Get Up and Move, but it's going to take millions in aggressive marketing for GVB to prepare for the return of tourism.
GVB President Carl Gutierrez and Vice President Jerry Perez are banking on $20 million from President Biden's aid package to get Guam ready for the April 1st return of tourism. In discussions with Governor Lulian Guerrero and Congressman Michael San Nicolas, it's almost a done deal.
Got the governor, now putting us in a high priority because she really believes that it's time now to go out and get investors, get tourists coming in. And let's get, people again working. And so GDB is the prime mover in our economy, and we cannot ever forget that.
Both admit that we're not going to see a rush of tourists returning on April 1st, but the marketing has to be concise.
Our main message now is to message a campaign to have confidence in the destination safety experience coming to Guam. So that's going to be a key part in the messaging.
Also key is ensuring that a plan is in place. Paris says there needs to be a coherent, clear, risk-proportionate policy for GVB to communicate to potential visitors so they know and understand what is expected to enter the territory and what is expected while visiting.
If we do that, and if we communicate the message that Guam is a safe destination to visit, then we're halfway there in terms of, like, quote unquote, reopening the market in Korea and Japan, for example.
As we wait for tourism to return, both Perez and Gutierrez stress the need for improving our product.
There's a lot that we're doing right now with the storm drains, and we want to upgrade through an EDA funding of $18 million from a top-end beach and put a really new facelift there, put the fire department down there and launch their boats from there. And we have a really nice plan that's being put together. We're working through with Public Works right now to get that EDA grant.
We need to fix our product. So if we don't fix our product, our marketing message will be of no use. And in the initial stages of marketing, keep in mind that this is going to be a slow ramp up from previous years' arrivals. And so we don't want to overspend in marketing and not, there's a point of diminishing returns. So we just need to be careful on sending out the right marketing message, but investing a lot more money than in the past to really improve our product.
Guam native and Santa Clara County, California Judge Johnny Cepeda Gogo is being recommended by Governor Lulian Guerrero to be the next U.S. Attorney for Guam. Gogo previously served as a Deputy District Attorney for Santa Clara for more than 20 years, where he prosecuted major narcotics and meth cases. Prior to moving to California, Gogo was an Assistant Attorney General for Guam and worked for the local private firm of Calvo and Clark. Earlier this month, the Biden administration called for the courtesy resignations of all U.S. attorneys. Governor Lulian Guerrero sent her recommendation of Judge Gogo to the president last week. The Guam Department of Education provided an update to the legislature's Committee on Education on a myriad of financial updates ranging from its FY22 budget request to a breakdown in federal funding from education stabilization funds, PPEs, and special education. According to GDOE Superintendent John Fernandez, they're requesting a $373.1 million budget for next fiscal year. A large chunk of that is for personnel. GDOE is also including funding for the purchase of new textbooks for every student and, of course, ensuring student safety.
I do want to point out we did include almost $1 million in COVID-19 supplies. So this was done before there was any confirmation of new funding for the department, and so we included it. But of course, if we are able to fund items in our federal with our federal funds that we included in our budget request, we are going to let the board know so that the board can take appropriate action and amend its budget request and inform the committee.
As we reported, GDOE received a second round of education stabilization funds to the tune of $110 million, but is awaiting approval from the feds on guidance on its expenditure. Ultimately, it's not clear whether the legislature will approve its $373 million request for FY22, considering GDOE has seen a budget cut of nearly $30 million since 2018. Coming up next, GDOE's ISA League and the IIAAG prepare for the return of sports scheduled for March 1st. Dave Delgado has your sports report after the break.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Más.
How do you dare? You chip away at what's been built because you can do better. How do you dare? You chase away wrongs to make room for what's right. You. How do you dare? You stand while they sit and scream when they are silent. You combine your strengths to reject their weakness. You step up, stand out, and shape a new point of view. How do you dare? This is How You Dare. Introducing the all-new Elantra.
It makes myself and it makes my team members very proud to work for an organization that has been on island for many years with its focus on reliability, dependability, and commitment to the communities that they operate in.
Matson's a great corporate citizen to the community.
We all benefit from any sort of environmental commitment we make. One of the ways that we do that is with our Adahi Utano program. There's action behind it, and so action breeds commitment.
With the Kaimana Hila coming to Guam, this brings a new age and modernization to the island.
It's exciting for me because it's a brand new ship and we can carry more freight into the islands. It just shows growth for Guam and Micronesia.
Matson would be nothing without its customers, and we hope to continue to serve you for decades to come.
What's up, Guam? Dave Delgado here for KUAM Sports. Thanks for watching. Tonight on the show, we're going to hear from boys high school volleyball coach Rod Palmer from the Tees and High Titans. We'll hear from some of the players as well. Sports just right around the corner, beginning March 1st. Everyone's excited.
Local interscholastic sports leagues, ISA and IIAAG, are excited to get back into competition. Governor Lou Leon Guerrero signed an executive order last Friday allowing for the return of non-contact sports competition to resume on March 1st, so long as guidelines and safety protocols are approved by public health. Athletes and coaches have waited nearly a year to get back into competition and have been training for their respective sports.
Well, the kids are really excited. I'm really excited for both our boys and our girls teams. The boys and girls have been prepping for about a month. We need a lot of work. We're very young, but the kids are excited to get out there and show their best.
Boys and girls cross country, tennis, girls softball, and boys and girls volleyball are all scheduled to begin March 1st for ISA.
Just as long as we follow the COVID protocols and they stay according to the rules and follow those rules, we're going to be good to go.
ISA League Director Al Garrido has been working closely with athletic directors and coaches throughout the pandemic. We are elated We know that this was a long time coming, and it's actually an entire community effort. If you think about it, the community's efforts to get vaccinated and to follow the guidelines contributed to the numbers dropping. The governor and DPHSS are doing their best to keep everyone safe, so we were very patient and wanted to let them know we support their decisions. Coach Palmer said the Titan athletes are excited to get back to sports and some sense of normalcy.
I just think that during quarantine, everyone was struggling because they're used to where they have friends to talk to in sports. But after a while and they're coming back, I'm sure they'll be grateful for this opportunity to play sports again and to actually talk with other people in person.
I'm very excited, especially with my team. We've been training for this. We've been doing workouts during quarantine, especially, and just excited to be with my team again. Looking forward to competing with other schools, especially with the challenge, especially now. So I'm just wanted to see other schools and hopefully win a championship.
As a result of how the pandemic has impacted sports, GDOE Superintendent John Fernandez has invited IIAAG to team up for the return of sports. IIAAG President Terry DeBold says, "We've been training, practicing since December. Our rosters are complete and athletes are anxious to resume play. I'm grateful that conditions have improved to the point that we will see interscholastic sports."
We get it. Living to the fullest is tough during COVID-19. You don't need to do it alone, and everyone needs a hand right now. We are here. Feeling overwhelmed? Call 647-8833 and let's talk. Mangagiham is a project of KUAM Behavioral Health and Wellness Center.
So long, nacho fries.
Whenever Taco Bell takes them off the menu, he can't escape the cravings. Nacho fries.
Escape your cravings with our nacho fries box. Run to Taco Bell.
And before we close out the news tonight, our latest round of birthday shoutouts from the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club.
Happy February 23rd birthday to Ava Claire Tamayo, who celebrates birthday number 15 today. We love you. Say Mom, Dad, and Mara. Happy birthday to our Ava Claire. Joseph Sablan, happy birthday to you, and happy blessed birthday, Jojo. May God continue to bless you with the strength and favor all the days of your life. Happy birthday number 2 to Kayala Borja, to our pony girl. We love you so much. Say Dad, and the entire Ohana. Kayla Borja and Martha Martin celebrate birthdays today. Caleb turns 12 and Auntie Martha turns 80. From your loving family and friends, they're wishing you both the very best in all of their love. And Lourdes Kengaluhan, happy birthday to our Lourdes, the queen of our family. Love, your supporting children, Johnny, Kenny, Liz, Joyce, and Patrick.
Remember, you can be part of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club by registering online on KUAM.com. That's going to do it for us here on Primetime. Thank you for watching. Have a good night and be safe.
Health Check is presented by Island Cancer Center.